Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Dr. Fred DiDomenico, who's the author of You Are More Powerful Than You Think and the creator of H.E.A.L.E.D. Dr. Fred, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Mike. I've been excited to chat with you, and we're going to create a mindset shift in your listeners and audience today, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. And I just think that so many times when I hear that title, You Are More Powerful Than You Think, and then you say mindset shift, that's some magical phrases there, because isn't it true that it really so much originates in our mind? In fact, I'll just start off by saying this. I'm sure you've heard of the old motivational speaker, Dennis Waitley, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to one of his programs just about 2 weeks ago for like the 10th time, The Psychology of Winning. And in fact, it's so old that in the recordings, he was talking about cassette tapes, so like when you listen to this tape, well, anyway, he's talking about how powerful the mind is. And, these Olympic athletes, and we just saw in the Olympics, I'm certain that we all can remember an Olympic athlete that, whatever their sport is, they're standing there before they start, eyes closed, and they're kind of moving around. Well, they're rehearsing what they're doing. They're rehearsing success. So I just think so much that, that mindset shift is so powerful. So I'm excited to learn about that. Give us a little bit of your background and then what led you to then now focus on this book and then this movement.
Well, I was a chiropractor. I grew up in a traditional immigrant Italian home, very hardcore Catholic, but we created a relationship during the week. We were religion on Sundays, but we created a relationship. So I just had a feeling. I knew I was here to do something. I had no idea what it was, but for some reason I just innately knew that we have a purpose. And I believe everybody innately knows that. And so the basic premise in H, honor God within yourself, and H.E.A.L.E.D is we're spirits living a human experience. And so when you believe that, you can tap into that innate divinity. But anyway, I found chiropractic. That was definitely life purpose. I was raised in a medicine cabinet. I didn't really buy into medicine. I wanted more natural healing. And so chiropractic is a way spine and nervous system's foundation of health and life in the body. So when I would correct people's spines, their diseases would go away. But then I noticed patients would come up to me and they say, Dr. Fred, you're always so happy, you know what your purpose is. And I found probably 8 out of 10 don't really know what their purpose is. They may be successful, but they have this feeling inside that something's missing, or I need to do more, or maybe they lived their life, they became a doctor because that's what their parents wanted them to do, or, they really want to be a sculptor, but they got a job first because their parents, want them to be secure. And so I felt bad about that. And then my second wife was diagnosed with cancer. And 3 weeks before she died, she was taking a bath, and we're planning her life celebration. And all of a sudden, she started sobbing, like loud. And I'm like, sweetheart, what's wrong? And she said, the next phrase that she said changed the rest of my life. And she said, I don't know if I did what I was supposed to do in my life. Mm. And so the weight that I felt, I can't put into words. And then the contrast that I was doing it was, I'd say I had gratitude, but, the sorrow that I felt for her was overwhelming. And then a very loud voice in my head said, no one in my life will ever say those words to me again. Mm. And so after she passed, I began on this spiritual journey, more of an accelerated journey, because now I'd already been divorced. Now I'm a widow. And I just wanted to become the most amazing man, to find the most amazing woman, so I could just have a great life with my partner. And what I found is as I evolved, one day in my kitchen, I was trying to develop a 6-step system for spinal rehab for chiropractic, and the acronym H.E.A.L.E.D fell on me. And then I started having these visions of what it was, and it was a spiritual, emotional healing system to help people tap in to their spirit, their innate divinity, God within us, clear of their past, clear of the pain of their past, and then discover, live, and fulfill their soul purpose, the reason why we're here in this life. And that's what I find is people can be successful, but if you don't feel like you're doing what you're called to do, there's always that feeling like a void. You can look around and still feels like something's missing. And I also found that entrepreneurs and the chiropractors, now I coach chiropractors, those people that know what their purpose is, they're on purpose, their conviction, their stamina, their discipline, their ability to move through any condition in the world, and we're looking at the world as today, you become unstoppable and you become unwavering. And when you look at, since COVID hit, and you look at all the suicides and the people going back into addiction, and the domestic abuse is higher than it's been in years, and you know, suicide is the number 2 cause of death for young adults 10 to 24. Why? Because they have an outside-in reference point, because they're reacting to what's going on in the world rather than having an inside-out reference point with what their purpose is.
You know, what a huge intro. We could probably go 4.5 hours just on that one thing.
Yeah.
So it made me think of something. I've done some interviews recently and working with financial professionals, and several of them will go, yeah, money. We talk about money, we help you. But what we really work with clients on is, and they'll talk about they almost become life coaches. You know, we need to talk about their goals and their aspirations. And one thing that really struck me is, you know, when you think about the word retirement, it's not just I've stopped working and now I'm playing golf and sitting on the beach and whatever, because that's boring. What do you want to do? What is your purpose? And they will use that, you know, what is that life vision purpose? And then we'll help the money today and tomorrow and the next day and next month get you there. Well, just like what you're talking about, whether you're a chiropractor, whether you are an entrepreneur or human, why are we here? What would make you get the most out of this? And many times it is that ability to be present and observe what's going on, like today, good, but then also at the same time have this 30,000-foot view of, okay, this is important. I need to be doing this right now, but okay, this might be tough, and I might be dealing with this one struggle today or this week, but let me pull back and look at that 30,000-foot view. But how does this fit in my overall plan? And I think that when that is done, that should take such a weight off of people's shoulders.
Oh my God, it gives you an inner confidence to know when you have that spiritual belief that I'm spirit first. And some people are like, well, I don't believe in God, or they've been traumatized by religion. I mean, I was raised hardcore Catholic. It wasn't until my 40s till I got over that trauma. But that's not, and I'm not judging Catholicism. I love religion. When we look at, if you look at Jesus, regardless of what you believe, he was crucified by religion. His message wasn't about religion. He transcended. Exactly. He was all about love. He was all about forgiveness as the way to salvation. And so when we understand we're spirit first, we're here for a reason, we're going to go through these emotions. And in the A section of H.E.A.L.E.D, which is accepting forgiveness for others, you look back and you see every pain that I went through had a reason. And it either gave you courage, it gave you skill, or it gave you faith, or sometimes all three. So I do these videos Tuesday morning transformation. You can get them on YouTube, TMTs. And I just talked about this, that when I look at the greatest pain that overshadows all the other pain in my life was watching my wife take her last breath. But what came out of that? Well, now, even though she said I didn't do what I was supposed to do, there's You're More Powerful Than You Think. The book, it's changing the lives of hundreds and eventually millions of people around the world, thousands right now. And it's like, wow, that experience caused me to evolve, allowed me to take the opportunity to evolve to where so many millions of people around the world will know what their purpose is and won't have to say those words in their life. So maybe that was her purpose. Yeah. So we don't look at what happens, we look at why things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so huge, and it gets your mindset, like you started off saying, off the minutia. Maybe
Right.
I'm one for alliteration. I love, I just said that, and I didn't think I was going to say that, but when I heard it, mindset off the minutia, it's like, ooh, that should be a chapter in the book. That should be a teaching, because you got to get your mind off the minutia, because, like whatever, that one book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. Well, it really, in the grand scheme of things, it is all small stuff, and when
Right.
we can treat everyone the right way and handle our business, personal, professional, the right way, it all falls into place. But I just really think that, it's that aligning of your values that gets to be so, so big in success. So like you now are transitioning, or you have transitioned from practicing chiropractic into, like the coaching and working with other chiropractors and business owners and entrepreneurs. How has that transition gone, and what is the main thing that you are seeing in the industry that you're coaching your clients on?
Well, that's a big question. I would say, first of all, when you're an entrepreneur, you have a vision, and then you have a whole boatload of problems. So there's going to be, you have your own business, there's challenges every day. So having your mindset above those challenges, having daily rituals, I would say the most important thing is I have spirit, mind, body rituals. I start my morning that way, I end my day that way. Because if you don't start your morning at a higher consciousness to already be inspired and then clear your body at the end of the day, man, life is going to wear you down.
Yeah.
And so, they say when you're an employee, you work an 8-hour a day. When you own your own business, you work a 16-hour a day until you can build it to the part you leverage, right? You give up your 8-hour day for 16 hours. And so that's the way it is until we get to the point. So I teach mindset first, and then systems. And then I find what we teach is our only goal in life. We only have one aspiration, and that's to take that 18-inch journey from our mind to our heart. And now science shows your heart, I saw this about 8 months ago, has 5,000 times the manifesting power of your mind. Heart energy has 5,000 times the manifesting power. And then I recently saw a month ago, 100,000 times. Mm. And that's where healing comes from. That's where your power is. Your power is through love. So when you love what you do, you love your customers more than you love your product or service. Just love people. Then everything in your life expands. And then when you envision, so there's creative visualization, because your brain doesn't know, when you look at mindset, your brain doesn't know what's outside of you or what's inside of you. That's why when an athlete visualizes, your brain doesn't know whether or not you're doing it. It only knows what you're experiencing. Mm. And so that's why when we feel that vision in our body, it says, Psalm 1, meditate day and night. Right? Be like the tree with the roots planted in the river. What's the river? The river is the universal energy. The river is God, right? And you shall bear fruit in its season. It's going to take time to manifest in the physical world, yet stay connected. See the vision. Stay in front of you. Keep it in front of you. Stay faithful. Feel it in your body. Get direction. Live from your heart. And no matter what your success level, when you live from your heart, life is going to be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's just so awesome. So let's kind of dive a little bit deeper into what do you think is like step one for every entrepreneur to realize and know to start their journey to finding their purpose? Because I think, like you alluded to earlier at the beginning, so many people don't know or could not articulate well their purpose, or they might be fuzzy or hazy. So what are some of the tips that you would recommend on kind of discovering that for an entrepreneur?
Well, people always say, do what you love and then get paid for it. But that's not purpose. I love skiing, but I'm not supposed to be a ski instructor. Yeah. Right? I love martial arts, but that's what I'm supposed to do. Many times your purpose comes from your greatest pain. There's a problem in the world that bugs you that you want to solve. And so, like me, my greatest pain was hearing my wife say that. It could be a woman is raped, and then she helps raped or abused women. So I've done podcasts with people like that women that have been in abusive marriages, and then they help other women get out of abusive marriages. So it's, what's that thing that continually is gnawing at you, but it may be so big that you're afraid of it? That's it. Yeah. The more afraid of it and the bigger it is, probably the more that's what your purpose is. So you'll notice now you can love something and do that. That's great. But it's that thing that won't go away. It's that thing that you're saying someone should do something about that. Yeah. And then you look at the mirror one day and say that someone is you. That's why you're saying it.
Yeah.
So that would be a good start.
That's a really, okay, so then let's think about this. Do you feel like, or do you coach your clients that you should have, or that it's normal to have a purpose? Like in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, what's your overall purpose in life? But then aren't there sub purposes, like, well, my business purpose is, and my personal, purpose is, and so do they relate that way? Because I don't think that I feel like there should be some people that would say, well, my business purpose is to, fill in the blank, but then that relates to my personal purpose, which is, and then, yeah, that all relates and intertwines with my overall purpose, which I feel is. Is there some nuances that way that people can consider?
Well, there's no question. There's also a difference between purpose and values. So you could value family. Your purpose could be maybe raising successful kids, or that could be a value. So in the H.E.A.L.E.D system, and you're more powerful than you think, we have a spirit, mind, body model, which is each area of your life has a spiritual reference point. Mind is what your goals are, body is physical manifestation. So let's say you have a family, and then you say, okay, spiritually, what am I going to do? I'm going to be the spiritual leader. I'm going to raise kids that are confident, that have strong self-esteem. I'm going to raise them that what's inside them is greater than anything outside them. So that's the spiritual model. Now, what's the mind? Well, we're going to send them to this type of school. Well, I'm going to make sure I give them every opportunity. Maybe we'll travel. We're going to create memories. What's the physical manifestation of that? Hey, they're in a private school, or whatever those goals are. So now, when you look at every area of your life, and you have a spiritual reason why, you're actually connected with the power of the universe that is in us already. And now, in a sense, if you want to use the word God, you're using God to move every area of your life forward. You're tapping into universal energy that's already inside you. Mm-hmm. And now that spirit, mind, body model I believe, is a template that will transform the whole coaching industry into something that's much more powerful than the wheel of life.
Yeah. I just think that there's so many things that should be considered foundational, and I think mindset is one of those things, because there's a lot of limitations we put on ourselves, even without even thinking about it. I think that we're just like, oh, well, I just always have, or, well, I've always made this much money. So I think that breaking the limiting beliefs is huge to be able to see where you could go. And I think that's a good question, is what is a step that you would recommend to helping someone realize maybe I do have some limiting beliefs that I need to break through?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, real quick, your mind loves certainty because your survival instinct is your basic instinct. So your mind wants to protect you from risk, but you want to create a vision that involves risk. So many of the thoughts in your head may not be congruent with your vision. So you understand your mind is a tool, it's not who you are. Secondly, it's going to be based on your past experiences. So if you actually become conscious of your thoughts and conscious of what you're saying, and then you spit something out, some belief or some statement, and then you can objectively step back and say, and then you realize, God, I say that all the time. Is what I just said going to get me the life and purpose that I really want and desire? And many times that's going to be no. So we have a choice to be able to change our belief systems. And so what I teach people is, when you become conscious of everything you say and all your thoughts, looking at yourself objectively, not as an identity, but objectively to say most things that we're doing are what we've already learned. And if we keep doing what we've already learned, we're not going to experience anything new. And so if you realize that a belief system is just what you've learned, it's either working for you or it's not. You have the choice to change your beliefs. And if you identify a limiting belief, then you say, what's opposite of that? And then you create an opposite. And so if you ever say that, you learn to condition yourself over time to that new, more empowering belief.
Because, like, for instance, what is it in the brain is called myelination?
Right.
Because I remember reading something about that where they use this neat analogy of like a old record player, and you put the needle in the groove, and your brain, when it is used to something, it's just like that needle in the groove, and you then through repetition can create myelination, which creates like a new groove, and then now the needle is there, and so I think that we need to realize that our mindset is the mind, but then it's really impacting the brain, which is the piece of matter in our head, that then the mind and the brain work together.
Right. And the important principle is you're a spiritual being, you're having a human experience, you are not your mind, and you are not your body. You have a mind and you have a body as a physical vehicle to manifest on the physical plane. But you come from eternity. You're an eternal being. You weren't born. Your body was born. You're not going to die. Your body physically is going to pass. But you have the consciousness of eternity moving through you at any time. And that's why when we move to our heart and we move to love and our heart controls our thoughts, we're going to have higher thoughts. So the physical manifestation of unconditional love is revelation. It's the map of consciousness created by David Hawkins, quantum physicist. So when we get in the state of unconditional love, it changes our thoughts. And we have revelation, meaning we have new thoughts, right? Romans, it says, do not conform to the patterns of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. We can renew our mind. We move from our mind to our heart. We can literally renew our mind and remyelinate our mind to be more compassionate, more loving, more creative, more innovative, and move that energy, divine energy, through us and express that out into the world. Now your business. So we have these boot camps where we teach a lot of this, and I guarantee a 30 to 50% growth in 90 days. When you go to these 2.5 day boot camps, the doctors don't have time to implement the systems they learn. There's too much. Yeah. But how do you grow the next week? How do you grow 20% in a week? How do you grow 20 or 30% in 30 days? Because their consciousness shifted. They don't have time to implement the systems. But there's such a shift in mindset that automatically their business grows. It's like a vacuum. So your business, the level of your business, success, happiness, everything, is related, A, to your level of consciousness, B, to the systems. When you're I always say you only ever have one problem in your life, your level of consciousness. So real quick, I use a metaphor. An eagle flying at a low altitude has crows that peck on their tail. But how do they get rid of that, right? That's a metaphor for problems in your life, small problems bugging you. But when an eagle's flying at, 1,000 feet, there are no crows up there. But their whole perspective of the world changes. If an eagle's flying at 10 feet, you don't have many solutions because your view is limited. But when you go to 1,000 feet, you have all kinds of innovation, all kinds of solutions. You don't have crows pecking on your tail. So A, raise your consciousness and mindset. B, you'll change your systems. And then growth becomes a vacuum.
It becomes something, and if I'm understanding you correctly, it becomes something where you're pulled toward, not pushed, because people don't want to get pushed. They want to get pulled and drawn towards something.
Right. You're not pushing a boulder uphill, which I've done for a long time before I figured this out. You're being pulled by inspiration. You're being pulled by your vision.
Yeah. That's huge. Awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
oh my God,
I would love to have you give us what's the best way people can learn more about your H.E.A.L.E.D 6-step system and pick up, some of your meditations, pick up your course, your masterclass, and all of that.
Go to You Are More Powerful, spell it out, YOUARE, morepowerful.com. and it's all right there. So there's a webinar on there you can listen to. It's changed the lives of so many people that, and I've helped people become millionaires, $1 million practice plus, and everybody says the same thing. It's not the money. It's their marriage is better. They talk to their kids differently. They don't have the same anxiety and stress in reaching their goals. It's all the things that matter. They have more freedom. It's all the things that matter in their life that have nothing to do with money. However, money is a tool.
Yeah.
So yes, you can make more, but it's the inner peace that people and the quality of relationships that people value the most.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's huge. Well, Dr. Fred, thanks so much for coming on. It was a pleasure talking with you and getting to know your passion and your vision and your journey. So thanks for coming on today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.